So Sanjay describes the world thus: just as a man sees the reflection of his face in the mirror, similarly the reflection of Sudarshan is seen in the lunar mansion. In 2 parts of Sudarshan there are fig leaves, and in 2 parts have a giant rabbit. So first what we're going to do is carve out the 7 circles. And these 7 intersecting circles create the Sat Kona. The Sat Kona is mentioned in the Brahma Samhita. It's the abode of Lord Krishna. The Sat Kona is also the Nagamani, the serpent's ornament that Vasuki carries on his head. There's a whole esoteric science contained within the Sat Kona. The whole cosmos, the whole universe can be understood through the Sat Kona, because this is actually how space really works. It's the basis of Vedic maths and it's the basis of Vedic geometry. So I'm just dividing the circle, but these are the 2 fig leaves, the 2 Sat Konas, which essentially are the snake's head and the snake's tail. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to plug in the snake's tail into the snake's head to activate the Ouroboros, to activate the cosmic serpent. But it's all Sat Kona, most importantly combining these 2. So we have to be like Priyavrata. We've got to carve out these 7 circles and awaken the cosmic serpent. And after we've awakened the cosmic serpent, we can use the cosmic serpent's eyes to create a second sun. This is the Uttara and the Dakshin, the northern and southern path of the sun. The Uttarayan and the Dakshinayan. This is the equator. It's also the Manasatara mountain, the mind mountain, or the measurement mountain. So after Priyavrata created his second sun, he also created his own sun chariot. So again, I'm just using the Sat Kona to create the color wheel and those 12 spokes and 12 zodiac signs, all at 30 degrees apart. So this is basically the 5th canto, 521, the movements of the sun. Also applies to the Surya Siddhanta. So what I'm creating here is the second Sat Kona. So just like at the beginning where I showed the 2 Sat Konas, one flipped. So I've added the second one, and that creates the horrors, the hours. So there's 24 horrors in a day, 24 hours in a day, each one being 15 degrees. So it takes the color wheel 2 hours, 2 horrors to move through a single zodiac sign. So that's the tropical zodiac. This is how you create the sidereal zodiac. What I'm actually doing here, I'm taking that measurement of the sun between the Uttara and the Dakshin. Actually, Daksha, which means south, Daksha is the father of the nakshatras. So that measurement allows me to create the 27 nakshatras, which are the 27 wives of Chandra and the daughters of Daksha, south. Those 27 nakshatras are then divided into 4 padas each, making the 108 padas. So this is Vedic cosmology and Vedic astrology. This is how the sky is divided. It's all through the Kala wheel. So Priyavrata creates a second sun. Well, he carves out the 7 circles, he creates the second sun, and then he creates another sun chariot. Priyavrata's father-in-law is Vishvakarma. Vishvakarma representing the square and the compass, because he's the divine architect of the Devas. He creates the Devas' chariots. He creates all their cities. Vishvakarma is also the Makar. This is the Makar in 5.21.3. It explains how Makar is the head of the zodiac. This is why we have the Tropic of Makar, the Tropic of Capricorn, 10th house. That's the Dakshinayan. So the Makar in Vedic understanding is the crocodile fish, and the crocodile fish guards space. And Vedic space is understood through the Kona, through the flower of life, the seed of life. That's the flower of life, because that's what the Ajna chakra is. That's what the third eye is. It sees and responds to the seed of life. So this is Orion. Well, this is the pole star. This will be Abhijit. Pole star and Abhijit. Abhijit's obviously moving around. The star Vega. This is also the 5th nakshatra, which is Mrigashira, which is the deer head. And over here also in Gemini and with Mriga, Shira, the deer's head, is Orion. So this is all connected to Shiva and the third eye. Shiva rules the third eye. He rules the Ajna chakra. So the Makar is also dolphin. So Shishama, the transcendental dolphin. And that's how the transcendental dolphin spans over the earth that we know as the Milky Way, the Ganga Akasa. So anyway, but it's also, the Makar is also the Panchajanya, the 5 born. And Krishna, for his dakshin to his guru, he had to go and fight the Panchajanya and rescue his guru's son, who had been kidnapped by the Panchajanya. He'd been taken down to Patala, he'd been taken down to Nagaloka. So Krishna dives into the ocean, swims down, I think he's even on his chariot. He goes down to Patala, and as soon as he sees the Panchajanya, he just knocks him over and kills him. Then he pulls the guru's child from the Panchajanya's stomach. The Vesica Pisces is the fish of the stomach of the fish. This is the whole science behind this, is the Vesica Pisces is intersecting circles. It's how all the ancients understood geometry. So anyway, Krishna rescues the Brahmana's son, his guru's son, but the child's dead, so he has to take him to the court of Yama over in the south, and Yama brings him back to life. So Sandapani Muni, the professor of illumination, his son is the divine rabbit. And the divine rabbit is the moon, is Shashin, one who is marked by a hare, one who carries the mark of a hare. And Shashin, the moon, Chandra, so this is the Manasatara, the sun orbits above the Manasatara, and above the rays of the sun is the moon, orbiting above the measurement mountain. The Manasatara is the measurement mountain. And again, when it comes to the Vesica Pisces, everything's based on this original circle. Then everything gets scaled and everything gets created around that. So what I'm going to do now is apply the rabbit to the earth. So Sharshin. So this is how we see the earth through the divine Hare. We can see the whole entire Bhumandala through the divine Hare. But at this point, I'm just applying it to our own particular earth. The official measurement of the equator is 21,600 nautical miles. That's the actual mainstream measurement. So I'm using the Surya Siddhanta 5th Canto Science, understanding the Kala wheel, and I'm just applying this measurement. So here is 21,600 nautical miles, which means half of the equator is 10,800 nautical miles. So every 12 horrors, the sun is moving through 108. We can also work out the circumference of the Earth being 43,200 nautical miles, because again, it's just the extrapolation of the Vesica Pisces. This measurement will always be double of this measurement. So the Earth's circumference is 43,200 nautical miles, meaning at this distance here is 10,800 nautical miles. Each 90 degree, you're traveling 108. On the equator, you're traveling 10,800. This is 10,800. So from this, we can understand all our longitudes and latitudes and calculate and understand the Earth through the divine rabbit. And this verse is interesting. This Barakkanda Earth is called Sudasrandweep, since it is beautiful to the eyes of the onlookers. Being circular, it looks like the disk of the Lord, and is attached to the cycle of time in the form of a disk presided over by Bhagavan Sudarshan. So this is the science. This is how we see our Earth through the eyes of the divine rabbit. But we have to follow this esoteric process that's within the Sat Kona, because that's what opens up the third eye. Now actually, from here to here to here is 1.618. This is the golden ratio. And it's used in all the Vedic temples. It's used in modern geometry, but it's used in all the Vedic and ancient architecture. This geometry. Because it represents the Kala wheel, it represents the wheel of time, it represents space. Space is the subconscious. So that means the Navagraha, which is a serpent, and the Kala wheel. Those two things. So once you've seen the Earth through the divine Hare, then you can apply those longitudes and latitudes and apply the maths in the Surya Siddhanta and understand this. Understood how the elliptic and the ecliptic move over us from a localized position. But again, it's just geometry. But you have to actually understand the geometry and to be able to calculate the geometry, you need a fixed position, you need a fixed point. So the Earth is measured from this central pivot, which for us is the North Pole. We have our own central pivot, we have our own Meru, that's in the Surya Siddhanta. So flat circular Earth, islands in saltwater ocean, with a Kala wheel above, which from our position can be calculated as a celestial sphere. Showing us where the elliptic and the ecliptic will be and how we can actually calculate the degrees and the movements of the stars. But it's still a dome. There is no actual sphere, and there definitely is no sphere floating in space. Actually, the sphere floating in space is the ahankara, the false ego. It's the false ego that pulls everything to the center of itself. So the whole thing's a science. It's all based on the Manasatara, it's all based on the measurement mountain and the Vesica Pisces and Surya's chariot wheel, the Kala chakra, This is how time and space work. It's all circular. It's all part of the Bhumandala, the Earth circle system that resembles a lotus flower.